All right, fam. Good evening, good afternoon. I'm just coming at you because I've had these books for a while, and I haven't really known how to bring out the information to y'all because I haven't necessarily read all the books yet. I just got done reading that book, New World Jewelry, and I like to be thorough with what I'm doing and what I'm presenting. So I like to go ahead and go through the entire book and keep notes on it, and then come out with the information. But today, for some reason, the Most High just laid it on my heart. You put it on my spirit to bring out this information on the word ruddy, because waking up in a land of captivity, America as Israelites, as Negro people, we're Israelites, waking up to our true identity, which has not been told to us. It's being told to us by our captors, and I'm not going to say on the grassroots level that everyone's evil. I'm not going to say all the white men are evil or all of our people are evil or what. It's clear to me, at least so far, and I hope you guys understand from things I've been showing you, that on the highest level of the people who control the companies like Amazon and what books gets into the classrooms on academic levels, what books don't, stuff of that nature, that the wicked elites are on the very top. So, but people on the bottom, they may or may not be conscientiously withholding information from us, or they may just be presenting information as it was taught to them. So, the wind's blowing really hard. I repeat that in the name of Yah. So what I have is a set of 5 books here. I'm going to go through all of them. I'm going to show you the title, the author, and the date that the book was made, so you guys can look this stuff up yourself. Although you may not necessarily be able to afford them, because there's a concerted effort to price these books up. But that's why I'm bringing it out to you. The reason I have all this information, if I'm not using to wake up my family. So let me get straight into it. I'm talking about the word ruddy, because what has been taught to us is that the word ruddy means red. So ruddy is used to describe Adam. Ruddy is used to describe King David, of the second king of Judah, the famous King David who slew Goliath. It was used to describe the Nazarites, who were Israelites. They took a Nazarite vow. Samson was a Nazarite. That's why he couldn't cut his hair. That's all contained in the Torah. But what we're being taught, either knowingly or unbeknownst to the people who are teaching us, who usually ain't our people, is that ruddy means red. It means that the skin shows, the blood shows through your skin. So that automatically makes a person think that the person is white. The Israelites are white. King David was white. Adam was white. And Adam was made in the image of the Most High Yah. So the Most High Yah must be white. But I'm about to show you guys through the Bible and collegiate level books that are ironically also overpriced, out of the financial means of black people, aka Israelites, that's not the case. And ruddy actually means reddish brown, like my color, like most of the color that we are, various shades of brown. So that's what ruddy means. Anyway, let's get into it. So, as I told you guys all the time, that Israelites, and if you guys are familiar with the scriptures, I'm bringing it out for you. Israelites, we get mistaken, or the Israelites in the Bible, they got mistaken a lot, whoever we're descendant from, they got mistaken a lot with Egyptians. Okay, so I'm about to read you a scripture out of the King James 1611 edition, King James Bible. Okay, so I am at the book of Acts, chapter 21, and I'm gonna go to verse 37. All right. It says, "And as Paul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, May I speak unto thee? Who said, Canst thou speak Greek? He was surprised that this Jew could speak Greek, because this is during the time of the Roman captivity. The Romans conquered the Greeks, but they took on most of their traditions, and a lot of the Israelites that were under the Greek captivity came into the Roman captivity, obviously still speaking Greek. So the guard that had the Apostle Paul in custody was surprised that he could speak Greek, because he was a Jew. And it says, verse 38, Art Art not thou that Egyptian, which before these days made us an uproar and led us out into the wilderness, 4,000 men that were murderers? Or I guess the word means murderers. So now the guard is saying to Paul, aren't you that Egyptian? So they must have looked alike, the Jews and the Egyptians, if this Roman guard is mistaken Paul for one, and Paul was a Jew. And verse 39 said, but Paul said, I am a man which am a Jew of Tarsus, a city in Cilicia, a citizen of no mean city, and I beseech thee, suffer me to speak unto the people. Well, which people was he talking about? Well, he was bringing a message to his people. And the way we know that is because verse 40 said, and when he had given him silence, Paul stood on the stairs and beckoned with the hand unto the people. And when there was made a great silence, he spake unto them in the Hebrew tongue, saying, now I'm going to stop there. So Paul was speaking to Hebrews. The reason we know that, because he was speaking to them in the Hebrew tongue. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that we know that Israelites got mistaken all the time for Egyptians. And it makes sense because when Herodotus, when his magicians and, scribes and people who, dealt with magic and prophecies, when they told him that the Messiah had been born, when the Messiah's father and mother found out, Mary and Joseph, they took Jesus to Egypt. All right. It's the same thing that happened with a lot of our patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. That's actually how we ended up down in Egypt in the first place, because we came down during the famine. OK, now the Bible is telling you this is this. You can clearly see this is a King James Bible. The Bible is saying that the Israelites got mistaken for Egyptians. Now, if that's the case and Israelites really exist on this planet, then there should be archaeological evidence of this. And there should be many scholars who have wrote books on this archaeological findings. Well, there is. And looking for you, I have them, because I'm going to bring it out for you where most people will not. Now, so let's go to this book over here to my right. It's called Our Living Bible. It's actually one of the Bibles I was showing you on a video I made prior, which is overpriced. And it's made by Michael Aviona. He is an Ashkenazi Jew. Okay. And I'll show you the year that the book was made. The book was made in 1972, right there in Chicago, Illinois. Okay. Now, let's go here because it's showing you the Hamitic side at the table of nations, the line of Ham. Okay. Obviously, we know out of the line of Ham came Mitzrayim. And Mitzrayim, that name in Hebrew, the ancient Hebrew, means house of bondage. Okay, so out of Ham's line came Mitzrayim, which is who are the Egyptians. Now, let's show you who this Ashkenazi Jew is describing the Egyptians historically from his research. Because they got all the funds, they got all of our books. They went over there in Egypt, they've done all the archaeological work, and they made books about it. And they, up until about primarily last year, they only circulated amongst communities outside of the Negroes, which is true Israel. But now we have these books. So I'm going to go ahead and wake up my family. And let me show you this real quick. Let me look for it. All right, where is it at? Okay, here we go. Okay. Right here, it's describing the Egyptians. It says, thus beginning at the left in the illustration, that's the left, going from left to right. All right. I'm at. Thus beginning at the left in the illustration, the Egyptians have red skins. Now, that's clearly not red the way we know it. That's a reddish brown, clearly. And they go to expound upon that, which is the word that that word ruddy is used to describe Israelites. Israelites look like the Egyptians. All right. redskins. The name for Egypt in their language being Kimi, the red earth, made fertile by the Nile floods and contrasting strongly with the yellow sands of the desert. Okay, I want to make sure that's the point I want to make. Okay, so you can see right here that the Egyptians have a reddish brown skin. I mean, my finger looks almost identical to that. All right. And you can see over here, another illustration. It says top left. This is the top left. It says Egypt became the father of Caphtorim, Cretan from fresco in the place at Knossos, 14th century BC. Well, that's another Egyptian. He looks just like me. He looks just like us. Okay. Now, so let's put this off to the side. That was, once again, Our Living Bible by Michael Aviona. Google him. He's a European Ashkenazi Jew. Okay. And now let's go to the word Ruddy. Okay. Because Ruddy is used in the scriptures to describe King David. Like I said, Adam. And this is what's misleading a lot of our people. Let's be use some critical thinking and research and actually have access to these scholarly books. Now, this book is called the Zondervan Pictorial Bible Dictionary. The Zondervan Pictorial Bible Dictionary. Okay. It was written by Zondervan Publishing House. It's like one of the most famous Bible publishing book companies. Also owned by a very rich Ashkenazi Jew. Look that up. And the year that this particular book was produced was 1967. There you go, right there, 1967. Okay, so it has all the words in the King James Bible and their definitions. Now let's go to the word ruddy and see what it says. Ruddy, Hebrew, admoni, red. So they always try to tell you it means red. But let's see what they say. A word used to refer to a red or fair complexion in contrast to the dark skin of the Hebrews. I mean, just let that sink in, family. Like, they're telling you right there that, sure, it means red, but that's not necessarily what should be used to describe the Hebrews because, well, they're dark. So, reddish brown, dark Egyptians, in contrast to the dark skin of the Hebrews. All right, let's prove that. Let's prove that with other scholarly books. So right here, I have this beautiful book called Egypt in Color. And it's actually a huge book. You can see my hand right here. It's a massive book. It's got these huge illustrated archaeological pictures of actual archaeological findings in Egypt. This book was produced, and as you can see right there, look how beautiful that is. All right. But this book was produced in, it was produced by McGraw-Hill Book Company. I'm sure you guys have heard of that. It's a very famous book company. And it was in 1964, produced in 1964. Now, they have a picture of Ramesses II in here. Here it is. This is supposedly, allegedly, the pharaoh that the God hardened his heart to not free the Israelites until, all 10 of those plagues came upon Egypt, and then he released us. Now, I just noticed my hand. My hand is about the same color as this man. He's an Egyptian, which Israelites, who we are mistaken for all the time. And guess what? They actually use the word ruddy in this book to describe Ramesses II. Let's see that. It says right here, the king's flesh retains the ruddy complexion that was conventional for male figures. I'll read it again. And this is on the same page, just so you know. This is describing him. Ramesses II, an Egyptian. Okay? The king's flesh retains the ruddy complexion that was conventional for male figures. So this man, Ramesses II, which is embedded, intertwined with our history during the time of Moses, which damn near the same color as my hand, which makes sense because I'm an Israelite and we're always getting mistaken for one another, the ancient Egyptians with the ancient Israelites. But the term that they used to describe this dark melanated Egyptian was ruddy, which lines up with the Zondervan Pictorial Dictionary, where it says a word used to refer to a red or fair complexion in contrast, meaning in opposition to or different from the dark skin of the Hebrews. Look, family, I got one more book to show you. Okay. Now, remember, this is before the time of computers. Every single one of these books, this from the 1960s, 1970s, 1964. This is before the time that everybody had a computer and they can go ahead and Photoshop. And now let me show you this last book and show the year this is made. So it's beyond a benefit of the doubt that I'm fabricating this or whatever. This book is called Ancient Times, A History of the Early World. Okay. It was made by James Henry Breasted. He was a very, very famous anthropologist and archaeologist in the late 1800s to early 1900s. And this book was written in 1916. You can see it right there, 1916. Okay? It's a very old book. Hard to find. I got it. I'm sharing it with my family. Now, here we go. Check this out. This is a old picture on an actual wall in Egypt. Okay? Because these old European white men, they were actually the forerunners in the 1800s that was doing the excavation, the archaeological expeditions. They're being funded by the Brits, being funded by Indian companies. You can look this up. They were funded. So they had more than enough resources. And these are actual pictures from the archaeological excavation sites of Egypt. And it says, ancient Egyptian painting of a brickyard with Asiatic captives. Remember, they always use the word Asiatic. That means Negro, black. Or Asiatic captives engaged in brick making. Remember, the book of Exodus, we were put under hard bondage. We built a lot of their marvelous structures over there. Okay? Now, let's see what this is. The Hebrew slaves working in the Egyptian brickyards must have looked like this when Moses led them forth into Asia, meaning out of Egypt into the land of Midian, which is modern day Qatar. And then from there, we made our ascension up into Israel. So I don't know, either my eyes are deceiving me, and all these old books that's older than a lot of our oldest grandparents are lying, or there's a consensus here. And it is the Hebrew slaves, which Paul was a descendant from, who had dark skin and always got mistaken for Egyptians, had the same exact color. I hope this was helpful, fam. If you got any questions, I'm going to try to make some more videos because I got a lot more books to show you guys. But until then, y'all be safe and shalom.